we've also seen, particularly since our new president came into office, the purchase of guns and ammunition go right off the charts. And I know somebody who was in Fort Myers last weekend, and they said people were 10 or 15 deep standing in line to get ammunition, and they wouldn't sell less than 1,000 rounds at a time. And they had 2 of these giant trailers full of ammo. Within 3 hours, it was gone. And they're having another one in the vicinity there this weekend. And I know someone who's going. And I'll get a report for you next week on it. But it's probably going to be the same thing. And people they know something's wrong. They don't listen to programs like this. They don't read the international forecast or anything like that. But they know something's wrong. And they think it's going to be bad. Otherwise, they wouldn't be buying what they're buying. And these are not people who are generally investors. They're just a regular run-of-the-mill American, but they know something's wrong. And they want to be prepared. And that's where our country's headed. As I said in the last couple of programs, politically, the only thing we can do is get Ron Paul's legislation to investigate the Federal Reserve passed in the House. 149 co-sponsors, which to me is mind-boggling. And I think they only need about 217 to 220 to swing the vote. And I think that they got a good shot at it. But I'm telling everybody to contact their congressman and tell them that you want them to get that bill, H.R. 1207, out of committee and on the floor to be voted upon. And it looks like the Democrats are going to be responsible for this thing passing if it passes. I think they're getting a lot of heat from constituents about this terrible economy. And that's why I think they're moving in that direction. And the act is called, or the bill is called, the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009. The Senate version, which has no co-sponsors, is authored by Bernard Sanders, independent of Vermont, who happens to be at the other end of the spectrum politically from Ron Paul. And that bill is Senate Bill 604. So, I expect we're going to get that passed. And we've got to get it passed. And you've got to get a hold of every congressman and tell them, I want Bill H.R. 1207 out of committee. I want it voted on and I want it passed. We've got to stop the Federal Reserve before they totally destroy our country. And if we can do that, that's good. Another good event, and normally I wouldn't put it this way, but Canada, because the U.S. government is buying American on goods that they use in construction or anything else. They're buying American, and they are not and they are not using foreign materials in the work that they do. And the Canadians have been exporting lots of things to America, and they're quite put out about it. And so they have started to erect trade barriers on American goods. And this is the best possible thing that America. And the reason why is goods from other countries are generally less expensive. Not so much from Canada, but from places like India and China and even Mexico. Goods are cheaper. And so with these cheaper goods, they're able to put our people out of work. And that's not good. And so trade barriers are excellent. And hopefully legislation will be passed with a fair trade agreement with other countries. And that'll stop all this manufacturing bloodletting. It'll force all of these companies, both in manufacturing as well as services, to bring their work home to the United States. Because there'll be no sense in having it anyplace else anymore. And so, please, every congressman, everybody in the House. I just got an email in from Michael who asked, do you think the plunge protection team is having a little bit more difficulty keeping gold and silver prices down? And my answer most assuredly is yes. And you're seeing that today. I misplaced my questions here. Do you have some there?
Yeah, I do. Your comments on the closing of the Chrysler and GM dealers across the country. I know from what I've heard, some of the way that they're treating some of these dealers after, so many years of doing business with them is people have been notified by a letter from UPS. And there are no phone calls. They just had letters delivered to them. I've heard there's dealers that are actually making profits that are doing very well, and they don't understand why they've been closed. And you're still going to have the impact on all these smaller communities. And
well, how do you get your car fixed? How do you get your parts? What do? Order them from China?
Probably.
Probably. That's why we need tariffs. That's why we need our manufacturing back. And, have kids learning a trade of being machinists and metal cutters and things like that. I mean, this is a very hard... All of the greatest money that's made in an economy is made in manufacturing. It's so obvious to anybody who has any intellect that to destroy the manufacturing base of the United States is the worst possible thing you can do to it from an economic viewpoint. And that's what's been done. Now, we still have time to stop these people. So write another letter to Congress. Write it to everybody. We want trade barriers put up to keep foreign goods at a level of our goods in cost. It's going to put people back to work. It's going to save America. These two bills, one that doesn't exist yet, that we want you to push, and the other one that does exist. We don't want the Fed. I've been on probably 40 or 50 programs in the last 2 weeks talking about this. And that's on Fox, ABC, and then on other talk shows. And I'm doing my best to get the word out. And, of course, many of these AM, FM stations are pretty powerful. One of the guys at one of the stations said, I don't know what it was, 500 or 5,000 watts. I don't know, but it was obviously very powerful. And he called it a flamethrower. I thought that was rather cute. And so it really gets out there and reaches people. So let's reach Congress. Let's really get on them, and let's get them to do what they're supposed to do, and that's represent the people and not the bankers of Wall Street. Another question here from on mortgages for the Grand Diva, of course. What is your opinion about reverse mortgages, are they a scam? Well, I don't know whether they're a scam, but I don't like them. I haven't liked them from the very inception. And they've had problems with them as well. And I'm not an expert on it, but from the material I read, I wouldn't do that for me if I had a house. I don't have a house. I don't own a house. I live in a cave. No, not really. Not really.
I think